kind of sadistic pain was the Liberals looking to inflict on people who innocently supported something they believe in that's given them more hope than anything else in the past 2 years? It is shameful. And what's really shocking is that there is no due process in this. There is no court order. It's only if you've been suspected, CBC reported that today, if you've been suspected of supporting the convoy, they can come for your bank account.
Wrong.
This is unbelievable. And it's interesting because the Liberal government's in power now, but there's going to be other parties in power. Do we really want the federal government to have the power to say, oh, I don't agree with your protest, you can't go buy groceries, we're going to freeze your bank account? The laws of the Emergency Act that the police used none of them were to clear the unlawful protest. It was the banking power. It was the banking power that the RCMP claimed that they needed. That's the only powers they've cited. Which makes sense because we know you don't need the emergency powers to clear an unlawful protest. You don't need them to suppress a riot. You don't need them to clear a bridge or a piece of critical infrastructure. All of those powers were readily available to the RCMP and other police forces and to governments. And yet they were not used. We're not sure why that is. We've yet to receive a real clear answer on that. All we've heard is we needed these emergency powers, these unprecedented powers. And as I've said, the RCMP only quoted the financial measures. And I want to talk quite a bit about the financial measures because to me this is the most critical piece of the Emergencies Act. What we're talking about is providing the federal government the power to freeze your bank account if they don't agree with your political opinion. We heard that firsthand from the Minister of Justice on national television last week. He said if you support a political position he doesn't like, you should be, quote, very concerned. He said that. People can look it up.
Shameful.
Is that really what we're going to do in this country? That if there's a protest or some sort of demonstration that this government doesn't agree with, they can freeze your bank account? Or, sorry, they can order the RCMP, who orders the bank, who orders them. That's what they've been saying. It's not them. It's the hands off. But no, we're voting on the power to freeze bank accounts of political dissidents today. I want to talk about the human impact of freezing someone's bank account. Because what does that really mean? Well, it means when you go to the grocery store to buy food, your debit card doesn't work. When you go to the gas station to fill up your car to get to work, your credit card doesn't work. When you go to an ATM to pull out some cash to take your spouse out for dinner, no money comes out. When your mortgage payment comes out, when your gas payment comes out, when your MTS bill comes out if you're in Manitoba, there's no money in the account. It is frozen. They can freeze all of your assets, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. That is how significant this authority that we're giving tonight may be given to the Liberal government today. Do you want to know the terror and the anxiety felt by those thousands of people who participated in a lawful protest that very first day and gave $50 3 weeks ago to a convoy? Do you want to know what kind of terror that brings to someone? I have constituents saying they're pulling out tens of thousands of dollars from their bank accounts. I have a veteran, very dear friend of mine, possibly the sweetest older man you'll ever meet. He served our country valiantly for 28 years. And although he's very pro-vax, he supports the right for others to choose, so he gave the convoy $50 2 weeks ago. Wow. He canceled his credit cards because he's so terrified the government's coming for his money. I have constituents who are hiding cash under their beds. Like, that is how terrifying this power is. We know this began as a peaceful protest. One of the largest, if not the largest, pan-Canadian demonstrations we've ever seen as it rolled across the country. Thousands of people turned out to show their support. There were 15,000, estimates say 15,000 people on Parliament Hill that first Saturday. Thousands of Canadian families donated small sums of money to voice their support for a political movement that was fighting for their right to bodily autonomy, to make their own medical choices, to hold a job, regardless of their political or their health choices, Madam Speaker. But people have every right to peacefully protest, and thousands of Canadians supported this protest across the country when it was perfectly legal and lawful and peaceful. Right. And the Liberals are asking us just to trust them. Just trust us. There's parliamentary oversight, as if that means anything. This Parliament asked 4 times for those lab documents from the Winnipeg lab with all those shenanigans going on with the Chinese Communist Party. We never got them.
Nope.
He prorogued Parliament. He called a snap election both times to get out of scandals of his own making. And he thinks that we're going to trust that parliamentary oversight is going to be enough to keep his government in check. I don't think so, Mr. Speaker. So I'll end with this. Party, the Conservative Party of Canada, will be voting with the fullest power of our ability against giving this Liberal government the power to freeze political dissidents' bank accounts. Absolutely, without question, we will be voting against that. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.